Lost for 2,000 years, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene revealed, where it all began. Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel, The Bible Was Right. Or if you're new here, hi, we're so glad you're joining us. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most captivating and mysterious texts from early Christianity, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. If you've ever been curious about the hidden stories of the Bible, the voices that got left out, or the enigmatic figure of Mary Magdalene called everything from a repentant sinner to a spiritual leader, you're in for a treat. So grab a snack, settle in, and let's travel back nearly 2,000 years to uncover a story that's equal parts history, mystery, and inspiration. So what exactly is the Gospel of Mary Magdalene? It's an ancient text, not part of the New Testament, but one that offers a radically different perspective on Jesus' teachings and the early Christian movement. This isn't the Mary Magdalene you might know from Sunday school or Hollywood movies. In this gospel, she's not just a follower of Jesus, but a central figure, possibly even an apostle, with profound spiritual insights. This text challenges the traditional narrative and invites us to rethink everything we've been taught about early Christianity. Let's set the scene. The Gospel of Mary is a Gnostic text, part of a collection of writings that emerged in the first few centuries after Jesus. Gnosticism, don't worry, we'll break it down later, was a spiritual movement focused on secret knowledge, inner awakening, and a direct connection to the divine. Unlike the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which focus on Jesus' life and miracles, the Gospel of Mary is more philosophical, filled with dialogues about the soul, salvation, and the nature of reality. And at its heart is Mary Magdalene, portrayed as a visionary leader. Why does this matter? Well, the Bible as we know it was carefully curated over centuries. By the 4th century, church leaders decided which texts were in and which were out. The Gospel of Mary didn't make the cut, likely because its ideas were too radical, its portrayal of Mary too bold. But its discovery in modern times has sparked a wave of fascination, from scholars to spiritual seekers to pop culture fans. Yes, the Da Vinci Code fans, I'm looking at you. This text raises big questions. Why was it hidden? What does it reveal about Mary's role? And what can it teach us today? Here's how we're going to explore this over the next minutes. We'll break it into 5 parts. First, we'll uncover how the Gospel of Mary was found and the historical world it came from. Then, we'll dive into its content and structure. What does it actually say? Next, we'll explore its theological themes and why they're still relevant. Finally, we'll wrap up with reflections on its lasting impact. Each section is packed with insights, stories, and a few surprises, so stick with us. Before we jump in, let's do a quick poll. Have you heard of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene before? Drop a yes or no in the comments, and let's see how many of you are discovering this for the first time. Also, if you love diving into ancient mysteries like this, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We've got more lost gospels and hidden histories coming your way. Ready to step into the world of Mary Magdalene? Let's go. Discovery and historical context. Imagine it's 1896, and you're in a bustling Cairo antiquities market, surrounded by the scent of spices and the chatter of traders. A German scholar named Karl Reinhardt is rifling through a stack of ancient manuscripts when he stumbles across something incredible: a 5th century Coptic codex, a book made of papyrus containing a text called the Gospel of Mary. This wasn't just any find. It was a window into a lost world of early Christianity. Fast forward to the 20th century, and 2 more fragments of the same gospel written in Greek surface in Egypt. These discoveries prove the text wasn't a fluke. It was circulated, valued, and preserved, even if it was later buried. How did it survive? Why was it hidden? Let's unpack the story. The Gospel of Mary was likely composed in the 2nd century, roughly 100 to 150 years after Jesus' death, though some scholars argue it could be earlier. This was a chaotic, vibrant time for Christianity. The movement was spreading across the Roman Empire from Jerusalem to Rome to Alexandria. But it wasn't a single unified faith. Instead, it was a tapestry of competing groups, Jewish Christians, Gentile converts, mystics, and of course the Gnostics, who wrote the Gospel of Mary. These groups argued over everything. Was Jesus divine or human? What did salvation mean? Who had the authority to lead? Let's talk Gnosticism. The word comes from gnosis, Greek for knowledge, but not the book-smart kind, spiritual, intuitive knowledge of the divine. Gnostics believed the material world was flawed, even illusory, and that true salvation came from awakening the divine spark within you. The Gospel of Mary reflects this, emphasizing inner enlightenment over external rituals or church structures. This was revolutionary but also controversial, especially as the Orthodox Church started to consolidate power. The manuscript itself is a bit of a puzzle. The version found in 1896, part of the Berlin Codex, is written in Coptic, a language used by Egyptian Christians. But scholars believe the original was in Greek, the common language of the Eastern Mediterranean. Only about half the text survives, 9 out of an estimated 19 pages, with big gaps at the beginning and middle. These fragments were likely copied by Gnostic communities in Egypt, a hub of religious diversity, and hidden away as the church cracked down on heretical texts in the 3rd and 4th centuries. The dry desert climate preserved them, like a time capsule. Now let's zoom in on Mary Magdalene. In the New Testament, she's a devoted follower, healed of 7 demons present at the crucifixion, and the first to witness the resurrected Jesus in John's Gospel. But in Gnostic texts like this one, she's more a teacher, a visionary, maybe even an apostle. This is a big deal because, by the 2nd century, women's roles in the church were being restricted. The Gospel of Mary pushes back, presenting Mary as a spiritual authority, which likely made it a target for suppression. The historical context is key. The 2nd century was a theological Wild West. You had proto-Orthodox Christians, who'd later shape the New Testament, clashing with Gnostics and others. Texts like the Gospel of Mary were part of this debate, offering alternative visions of Jesus' message. When the Council of Nicaea in 325 CE and later councils standardized Christian doctrine, Gnostic texts were deemed heretical, often destroyed or hidden. The Gospel of Mary's survival is a miracle of history. Engagement time. What do you think about Mary Magdalene as a spiritual leader? Would her role shock people? Today, drop your thoughts in the comments. Also, if you're fascinated by ancient discoveries, check out our playlist on Lost Gospels. Link in the description. Content and structure of the Gospel of Mary. All right, let's open the Gospel of Mary and see what's inside. Fair warning. It's short, incomplete, and absolutely mind-blowing. The surviving text is just 9 pages, with major gaps, but it's enough to spark your imagination. Unlike the New Testament Gospels, which tell Jesus' life story, this is a dialogue-driven text, like a spiritual debate club. Mary Magdalene is the star, and the ideas are big. Let's walk through it. The text picks up mid-conversation, with Jesus answering disciples' questions about the nature of reality. He says matter will dissolve into its root, meaning the physical world is temporary, and sin isn't about breaking moral rules but about being out of sync with your true divine nature. This is pure Gnostic thought. Salvation is about alignment, not atonement. Then Jesus leaves, and the disciples are left rattled, fearing persecution and confused by his words. Cue Mary Magdalene. She steps up, comforting the group and urging them not to despair. She shares a vision she received from Jesus, and this is where things get wild. The vision describes the soul's ascent through spiritual realms, battling cosmic powers like desire, ignorance, and wrath. Each power tries to trap the soul, but it triumphs through wisdom and resolve, reaching a state of divine rest. Sadly, most of this vision is lost to the missing pages, but what remains is like a mystical guide to enlightenment. The disciples are stunned, but not everyone's convinced. Andrew and Peter, yes, Peter, the rock of the church, challenge Mary. They question whether Jesus would share such profound teachings with a woman, Peter's especially salty, saying, "Did he really speak with a woman without our knowledge?" Ouch. Mary gets emotional, defending her vision. And Matthew jumps in, saying Jesus loved Mary more than anyone and trusted her with this knowledge. The text cuts off as the disciples head out to preach, leaving us with a cliffhanger. Structurally, the Gospel of Mary has two main parts: Jesus' initial teachings and Mary's vision, plus the ensuing debate. The missing pages likely expanded on the vision, and maybe included more of Jesus' words. The dialogue format is typical of Gnostic texts, resembling philosophical works like Plato's Dialogues but with a spiritual twist. It's less about plot and more about ideas, big, cosmic ideas. What stands out is the text's boldness. In the New Testament, Peter's the leader, the gatekeeper. Here he's skeptical, even a bit petty, while Mary's the one with divine insight. This reversal would have been shocking in a patriarchal society. The imagery, like the soul-facing powers with names like darkness and desire, makes abstract concepts vivid and relatable, like a spiritual superhero saga. Let's hit pause. Imagine you're in the room as Mary shares her vision. Would you back her or side with Peter's doubts? Share your take in the comments. Also, the description includes a link to a full translation of the Gospel of Mary. Check it out if you want to read it yourself. Theological themes and significance. Now that we know what the Gospel of Mary says, let's dig into what it means. This text isn't just a historical relic. It's a treasure trove of theological ideas that challenge, inspire, and resonate, whether you're Christian, spiritual, or just curious. From its Gnostic roots to its bold take on Mary Magdalene, let's explore the big themes and why this gospel still matters today. First, there's the Gnostic worldview. The Gospel of Mary teaches that the divine isn't a distant God in the sky but a spark within you. Jesus tells the disciples to seek the Son of Man inside themselves, and Mary's vision shows the soul returning to its divine origin. This is a radical shift from traditional Christianity's focus on external salvation through faith or works. For Gnostics, it's about self-discovery, waking up to your true nature, and transcending the material world. The soul's journey is another core theme. Mary's vision describes the soul ascending through spiritual realms, facing powers like ignorance, desire, and wrath. These aren't just cosmic bullies. They represent our inner struggles like fear, temptation, or confusion. The soul overcomes them through wisdom and courage, reaching a state of eternal rest. It's a universal story, like a spiritual hero's journey, that speaks to anyone striving for growth or meaning. Mary Magdalene's role is huge. The text presents her as a spiritual heavyweight, trusted by Jesus, bold enough to teach, and resilient in the face of doubt. This challenges the male-dominated narrative of early Christianity. The debate with Peter and Andrew reflects real tensions over women's leadership, both then and now. By elevating Mary, the gospel argues that spiritual authority comes from insight, not gender or status. A message that's still powerful in discussions about equality and inclusion. The text also questions authority itself. Who gets to define true Christianity? The Gospel of Mary suggests it's not about who has the loudest voice or the most followers, sorry Peter, but who has genuine spiritual understanding. This made it a threat to the emerging Orthodox Church, which prioritized unity and hierarchy. By the 4th century, texts like this were labeled heretical, but their survival shows not everyone agreed with the mainstream. Why does this matter in 2025? For one, it reveals the diversity of early Christianity. The faith wasn't a monolith, but a vibrant debate, with voices like Mary's shaping the conversation. It also speaks to modern spiritual seekers. The idea of finding divinity within resonates with mindfulness, self-discovery, and non-traditional spirituality. Mary's story inspires feminists, activists, and anyone who's been marginalized but keeps pushing forward. The Gospel of Mary has left its mark on culture too. It's inspired scholars, artists, and writers, from academic studies to novels like The Secret Gospel of Mary Magdalene. It's even popped up in pop culture, fueling debates about Mary's relationship with Jesus, though the text itself doesn't go there. More than anything, it invites us to question dogma, seek truth, and honor the voices history tried to silence. Quick question. Does the idea of inner divinity align with your beliefs, or is it a new concept for you? Share in the comments. A testament of power. We've covered so much ground today, haven't we? From a forgotten manuscript in a Cairo market to a text that redefines Mary Magdalene and early Christianity, the Gospel of Mary is a story that refuses to stay buried. Let's tie it all together, reflect on what we've learned, and talk about what's next, both for you and the channel. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene is a testament to the power of hidden voices. It shows us a Mary who's not just a disciple but a teacher, a Christianity that's not about rigid rules but inner awakening, and a faith that's complex, diverse, and human. Whether you see this text as sacred, philosophical, or just a fascinating artifact, it challenges us to ask big questions. What's my purpose? Who gets to tell my story? How do I find truth in a noisy world? For me, Mary's courage steals the show. In a time when women were pushed to the margins, she stood tall, shared her vision, and faced the skeptics. Her story reminds us that our voice matters, even when the world tries to drown it out. Historically, the Gospel of Mary reveals a Christianity full of competing ideas where women led, mystics dreamed, and nothing was set in stone. Theologically, it calls us to look within, wrestle with our fears, and embrace the divine spark in us all. This text also connects to today's world. Its emphasis on inner wisdom feels like a balm in our fast-paced, distracted lives. Mary's leadership inspires conversations about gender and power, from church pews to boardrooms. And the Gospel's survival, against all odds, reminds us that truth has a way of resurfacing, no matter how long it's buried. So, here's your mission, should you choose to accept it. First, read the Gospel of Mary. It's short, powerful, and we've linked a translation in the description. Second, share your thoughts in the comments. What surprised you most? Could Mary be a role model today? Third, smash that like button and subscribe. We're diving into the Gospel of Philip next, and it's got its own wild twists. Before we go, a huge thank you to our community. Your comments, shares, and passion for these stories keep us going. Thanks for spending your time with us, exploring the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Keep questioning, keep seeking, and I'll see you in the next video.